Hi, I'm Jeff Byers, your instructor for this course. I hope all of you are staying well and healthy. This is Module 1 and your assignment. And your assignment tutorial this week will be to texture your terrain for the mine level and to create architectural assets to replace the BSP prototype. Okay, so let's get started. So I scheduled, or I basically set up our online system as modular, as a modular system to keep us focused and keep it really structured. Each module will be 1 week long. It'll start on Monday and end on Sunday, and you need to turn everything in at 11:59. I've kept this the same for every single module, so you get in a habit and you won't forget. So I start on Monday and I open it up, and so you should see this open, and let me just take you through this process. So modular 1, 2, 3, and 4 are all part of a project. Okay, I just broke it up in smaller pieces to handle it better, to keep you focused and structured. So you can see what we're going to be going through. So modular 1 is terrain texturing and modeling and UV mapping. And module 2 is texturing architectural assets and building the main temple. Modular 3 is smaller buildings created and game level set dressing. And module 4 is lighting, VFX, and mechanics. So again, you can see all 4 of these work together. We're trying to finish our Mayan level that we started. You've already got the prototype all finished and the sculpting of your terrain. So let's go ahead and get into Module 1 so I can take you through how this all works. So again, Module 1, you're going to be terrain texturing, modeling, and UV mapping. So your objectives are to demonstrate a knowledge to creating a texturing and texturing a terrain. Describe the importance of replacing BSPs with modular assets when creating architectural buildings. Demonstrate knowledge in creating and UV mapping modular architectural assets. Lesson content. This is the core of what you're going to be learning. So it's highlighted in yellow. Software that you might use or you will be using for sure will be Unreal 4. You could be using Photoshop, which is fine. Substance Painter, which is free. Just go type in Substance Painter educational use, or because you can get that for free, and my 2019, which is free, and from Autodesk. So basically the questions you may have, and I'll answer these questions, is how do I create terrain in Unreal? Well, you already know how to create terrain, but what you may not know how to do is why you're creating it. And if you don't have your terrain completely finished, I've got a bunch of video tutorials on that. It's kind of refresher. That's a refresher for you guys. How do I create materials for a terrain's landscape? That's kind of what we need to do. So I go through that. And if you've noticed, anything that's highlighted in yellow is very important for you to understand the concepts. And then anything in green is going to be video tutorials that you need to check out. You need to watch those, okay, to help you understand more about that particular process. And again, what is a modular asset? We actually went over this in class, I believe, roughly, but I'm going to get into it a little bit deeper in this lesson. And we've got some documentation that you may have seen or may not have seen, but I usually make sure I hit at least 1 or 2 times the Unreal Engine 4 documentation, and I give you a link to that page to help you understand more about what we're talking about and that particular curricular activity that you need to learn. So 3D modular building concepts. Again, I know you've probably learned this maybe in another class, but I need you to make sure that you understand it. So I've got videos on that. And then this is the core right here. This is what you have to be focusing on. So Modular 1 course assignment. So the student will continue working on the mind game level. The student will create 3 or more different materials to place on the terrain by creating that you created previously. The student will find or create realistic materials for rocks, grass, and mud and dirt for pathways, and add any other materials that will enhance the aesthetic of the terrain. Student will create the UV map of all the assets needed to finish the Mayan architecture. This would include, but not limited to, large stone blocks, doors, windows, and other architectural modular assets to enhance the aesthetics of the Mayan architecture. The student will create a minimum of 6 architectural modular assets, and each asset will be modeled and UV mapped. Alright, so again, we've got painting textures on terrain using Unreal video tutorial. I will also have a tutorial that I will create tonight and have it in this spot right here. And that's over modular pieces and grading rubrics. Again, if you want to get your 10 points, you will have this created. The 3 terrain materials are applied to the landscape in a logical manner and look realistic. The terrain materials are aesthetically pleasing and enhance the beauty of the terrain. And the areas of rock, grass, and mud and dirt are placed in an appropriate and strategic way. Well, what does that mean? Well, rock usually is up in higher elevations. You won't see grass in higher elevations, so that would be in the mountains. The grass would be in the low-lying areas, and the mud and dirt will be placed on the pathways. The materials are not show no stretching or scaling errors, and the pathways lead the player to all buildings. Modular assets. The student created a minimum of 6 architectural modular assets. Each modular asset is modeled and UV mapped appropriately as to maximize UV space. The modular assets are built in such a way that they stack seamlessly on top of one another and are seamless. The modular asset UVs are efficiently packed, and the UV shell texel, that is spelled wrong, texel density are normalized. So that's worth 25 points. And then turn instructions are quite specific, so make sure you read that. I'll make that change right here. I'm trying to rush these really quickly, so I'm hoping to get that. I'll get that taken care of. But anyway, that's what that means. Texel, not telex. Texel density. Alright, so that's it. I wish you the best of luck, and please focus on getting your modules done. And I did this on purpose so you wouldn't be left open to getting behind. And I think this will help you. A weekly task for every module will keep you structured and focused. Alright, so hopefully this works out and you enjoy the course. I know it's online. I prefer to be teaching you in face-to-face. Obviously that's what it's supposed to be, but we're kind of stuck with what happened, and we just gotta all work together and make this thing work. Alright, I'll talk to you later, and have a good night.